Hi, I'm Kevin Parks. I'm a member of the Lake Superior Squadron 101. I'd like to present to you our consolidated PBY 6A and 7179 Yankee as part of the 12 Planes of Christmas fundraising promotion in 2017. This is our third year of being in this promotion, so I'd like to thank headquarters for selecting us. To get started, I'd like to give you a little history of our aircraft. It was built in May of 1945 in New Orleans. It never saw service. It was accepted by the Navy in September of that year. It never got overseas as part of the Navy. It was in a couple of training squadrons and reserve units, namely NAS Atlanta. We do have a second PBY here. You can't see it at the moment. We just have a hull. But the two aircraft have been kind of intertwined through the years in their history. They're only 5 bureau numbers apart, where our red aircraft is 62092. This one is 6097. So they're pretty much the same. They were both at NAS Atlanta at the same time. They were both up in Alberta as part of a fire tanker unit. And now they're together as part of the same aircraft, with a wing off of the red aircraft and the hull off the blue aircraft. The reason we're restoring the airplane is back in 1998, a windstorm came up down in South St. Paul. At the time it was the Southern Minnesota unit. The plane was flipped over on its back and it destroyed the wing and the upper vertical tail sections. So with the insurance money that they got with that aircraft, they bought the red airplane, which they flew up until roughly 2003, 2004. The time came for restoration with that aircraft. Upon inspection, they found a lot of corrosion in the back of the aircraft, which made the airplane unflyable. The blue aircraft was brought up here because basically this is the only hangar in the state of Minnesota that can house an airplane this big, other than a big airline deal down in the cities. The plane was brought up here, and in 2009 the decision was made, well, let's take the wing off of the red aircraft and put it onto the blue aircraft. So they took both airplanes, towed them across the airfield here in Duluth over to what at the time now is AAR. At that moment it wasn't being used by Northwest, it was just a vacant building. So they undid the wing off of the red airplane, they rolled the hull of the red airplane out, they rolled the hull of the blue airplane in, set the wing back down, and brought the airplanes over here. Kind of a little fact for you, that the wing of that airplane, it's only held on there by 2 bolts. You see the pylon where the wing attaches, there's a bolt attachment point at each end of the pylon, and the wing struts, that's all that holds that airplane on, the wing onto that airplane. So kind of a unique little fact. So we've been working on it ever since, here and there. It gets kind of cold up here in the winter time, so winter activities kind of slow down, but what we've been doing lately is taking smaller parts into our machine shop, and a good example of that has been the trailing edge wing sections. The PBY is also unique in the fact that the wing is mixed construction. The front 2/3 of the wing is metal. The back third of the wing is fabric covered metal structure. And there's 6 pieces that go across the back of that wing. They're in match sets on each side of the wing, 2 of each piece. But right now, the aileron attachment points, they're completed now, and I'll bring that up in a little bit later. But that's just to kind of show you what kind of problems we've run into here. To give you a little history of what we've done in the last year, along with those trailing edge sections, we'll go over to the back of the airplane here, and I'll show you what we've been doing. It has a lot to do with corrosion control with this aircraft. Upon inspection of this part of the airplane, this is the lower rear hull of the aircraft. They were doing some corrosion control inspection, and they found out that there was corrosion in this part of the airplane. They actually had to go all the way up to here before they ran out of corrosion, which is roughly about 12 feet of the aircraft. So what they did is they tore all those pieces out that needed to be replaced, refabricated pieces that if they needed it. Otherwise, they took pieces off of the other aircraft, which were not damaged, I guess would be the best way to say it. They worked on this thing all summer long, basically 6 days a week. And you can see now The repairs have been completed. We have new sheet metal in here. It's all been primed. There's a piece that runs down through here, which you can't see right now. It's called a centerline extrusion. Without this centerline extrusion, if we were to take the prop off of the tail, eventually the aircraft would just collapse because of the weight. That extrusion piece holds up, supports that part of the airplane. So that's also now installed in there. The last thing that they've done before the winter kind of set in is we had to take the tail off of the air collect. When it was initially installed, it was kind of a hurried job. So what they had to do is they had to take it back down and, let's see, oh, there it is over on the side. So they've removed all the stuff, what they can, and that'll be the project for next year. Again, we'll be working on more of those trailing edge surfaces. The pieces that are done fit on the ends of the wings. You can see these large pieces right here. These two pieces right here will need to be soda blasted down, and any repairs that need to be done. They look like they're in very good shape. And then there's two smaller pieces which are roughly half the size. They're already done. They're sitting in the back, stored away for the winter time until the time comes to us to bring it out to be any repairs need to be done. So that's kind of what we're looking at from last year's stuff. Things that we're going to have to do other than the tail pieces, we're going to have to take the wing off of this aircraft. When the wing swap was made, the wiring is completely different. So the wing is going to have to come down, which means the engines are going to have to come off. So that's something that's planned for the spring. And what I really need to clarify, people, there's a rumor going around that we're losing our PBY and stuff. Actually, all we're losing is this building that we're in. We're in negotiations right now with the airport over in Superior. The way it sounds, as of right now, our lease will be signed next week, and we'll be moving everything over there. So the PBY isn't going anyplace other than across the bay. It's still going to be part of our heritage, our unit. So the wing is going to have to come off. The engines are going to have to come off for transportation, which will happen next spring. So that's all. It's stuff in the future. Again, there's more work done to be on the trailing edges. There's more work to be done on the tail. And I think they've gotten pretty much everything from corrosion-wise up into the belly of the airplane there. So why would we like you to donate to our aircraft? Well, it's kind of a tough question to answer, but the PBY, it's a rare aircraft, but not that rare. There's roughly 20 PBYs flying around the world. There's roughly a half a dozen of them or so in the United States. But when you see people come up here, just to give you a couple of examples, in the last months or so, we've had a son brought his grandfather up here from Chicago. He was a PBY pilot during Pearl Harbor. We had another grandson bring his grandfather up here. He trained on PBYs before he moved on to PBM Mariners during World War II. And it was pretty interesting. We got him into the cockpit of our second aircraft, our red PBY, and the rest of his family was outside. And he kind of sat down into the pilot seat, and after a while he kind of turned away from me after we talked, and he was wiping tears away from his eyes because he remembered what it was like to fly one of these big airplanes. We also had another son. He works with the Navy down in Florida. He brought his dad up, who lives down by the west of the Twin Cities, and they spent the whole day up here. Neither one of them ever flew in a PBY, but it was their favorite airplane, and it was an opportunity to come and see their airplane. So, that's some of the reasons why we'd really like you to donate to our aircraft. Other than that, it's the only PBY that the CAF has. So, we'd really be interested if you'd like to donate starting December 1st. And you can donate to this aircraft by going to www.crowdwise.com/consolidated PBY Catalina N7179Y. And that's all one word. Thank you.